The question on everyone's mind right now, is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. the best hitter in all of baseball?
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. As always, I'm Braden Iwasko. He's Carter First. You can find us on Twitter, Braden5Iwasko, Carter First 2, as well on TikTok and Instagram at Locked On Blue Jays. Drop a subscription if you're new here on YouTube. We've gotten a lot more of you guys as of late. But still, the viewer to subscriber rate is at like 70% or something like that still. So, we can always use more subscribers. You guys, I can always use us to keep Blue Jays news right at the top of your page. So you guys always know sort of what's on the pipeline, what's coming next, what's going on in Blue Jays land. So make sure you do hit that subscribe button. And for those of you who haven't already, just a little tip here. We go live once in a while with huge information. We drop podcasts and videos and stuff like that. So if you want to be alerted when everything happens and drops immediately, you can hit the little bell icon on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube. If not, and you watch our podcast or listen to our podcast on your way to work or whatever on any other streaming platform that there is, we really appreciate that as well. So keep dialed in. There's a lot of news that are going to be happening around the Toronto Blue Jays coming forward, especially on our Monday episode. You guys have to be, or our Tuesday episode, I believe. Sorry, Carter. Tuesday episode is going to be a big one and a huge discussion that you guys are going to want to be a part of. We did get a mailbag question. Somebody, like we always talk about, if you say mailbag at the top of your comment, we'll try to answer as many as we can on the podcast the next episode. So we have one today. We'll get into that maybe late in the second segment. We'll get to that it's sort of a fun one, an interesting conversation. So we're going to talk about that as well. But Carter, we got to start with the man, the myth. I'm debatably saying the legend, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. What a season he has had so far.
This guy might be the second coming of Christ. I'm not a big religious guy, but he might turn me to religion because watching Vladdy play baseball is like almost watching a superhero right now. It's absolutely insane. This might be the best Vladimir Guerrero Jr. we have ever seen, like, in his existence. Like, this is absolutely insane. He is on a torrid run right now. One of the only positives in Toronto Blue Jays baseball. And boy, is he being positive about it, because looking at this 20-game hit streak. Oh yeah, by the way, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is on a 20-game hit streak. That is about 1/8 of the season. Just insane. Absolutely insane numbers this guy's putting up. So over this 20-game hit streak, he's hitting .507. So he's getting on base over half the time. Absolutely insane. And that's just average. It's not even on base percentage. 10 home runs, 22 RBIs, 23 home runs. He has walked more than he struck out. He's walked 11 times over this stretch. A lot of those being intentional walks, which you love to see from Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and only 7 strikeouts. So this is the question that should be surrounding all of our minds right now. Is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. the hottest hitter in baseball right now, or just in general? Is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. one of the best hitters in all baseball? Definitely an argument that you could have. You look at the start of the season, a little bit slower for Vladdy, was hitting for average, didn't really have the pop that we were looking for, wasn't hitting as many extra base hits as we wanted. But boy, he has been absolutely insane over this last stretch. And Braden, I'm just going to throw it over to you just for his overall season stats, because he's been electric these last, honestly, since like June 27th. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. cuts his hair and all of a sudden turns into the best baseball player we've ever seen. But I'll give it to you. Just kind of give a breakdown over his full season.
Yeah, so there's two components to look at here, right? Is Vlad has been very hot as of late, but as we all know, Vlad started the season a little bit slow. So the numbers will have tanked, but by how much? That's what we're going to take a look at right now with the stats that Carter just gave and what I'm about to tell you as well. In 114 games played this season and 439 at-bats, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has 141 hits, of course, 23 home runs, 76 RBIs, 51 walks. He's struck out 74 times with an average of .321, an on-base percentage of .394, a slugging of .551, and an OPS of .945. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is an absolute monster, even with the slow start to the season he had and not be able to get the ball out of the ballpark. He's still at 23 home runs because he's made up the ground very quickly. We're probably going to see Vlad hit 30 plus home runs this season after a slow start. And that's got to mean something, right? That's got to give you hope moving forward. I think as looking at this Toronto baseball team as a whole right now, you want to see Vlad do this because single-handedly, almost, maybe with help from Kevin Gausman yesterday, but Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is carrying this team on his back to a one series against the Baltimore Orioles. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. can do it all, and he has done it all. With the amount of disrespect that was put on Vlad's name in this offseason, some of it coming from us and in the beginning of the season, he deserves his flowers, and he deserves a huge tip of the hat for the season that he has made. And I guess he's reinvigorated the fan base into loving him again. And that's a crazy statement to say. Blue Jays fans are very reactive, and they hold a grudge for a long time, as me and you know, Carter. Vlad has completely changed the narrative around him. There's everybody saying, which we'll get into, obviously the signing of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and what needs to happen. But he's completely changed the narrative that he started this season, which I think is a huge component for him moving forward as being what he wants to be, the face of this franchise.
Yeah, just this guy's insane. I'm honestly a little bit lost for words of just how good he has been over this stretch. The face of the franchise is exactly right. Just going into kind of the narrative going into Vladdy's season, coming off of a 2023 that was his down year, still had 26 home runs, hit like 265. You want those numbers to be a little bit better, but still a pretty productive year for your average MLB player. Vladdy's obviously not your average MLB player. He is a generational talent. I think that is not up for debate anymore. But going into 2023, there was this notion. I know you were a little bit in on this, Braden. A lot of other fans were. Is the Vladdy seriousness thing? You look at now. He's racing Juan Soto to second base when Juan Soto hits a double. You can, if you're hitting this well, you can do whatever you want. You could if you strike out once, you could throw your bat into Narnia, and nobody's gonna even bat an eye at it. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is literally immune to anything. He's immune to all hate from us right now. He should be from all the Blue Jays fans, because you're on a pace like this. This is one of the best 20-game stretches in all of baseball in a very long time. And just going over Vladdy's stats, just you kind of started with this OPS stuff like that, but I'm going to go into it just based off the rest of the league. He has the second most hits in all of baseball. Bobby Witt, unreal year. I'm going to compare them later in this segment, but Bobby Witt has 21 more hits, but Bobby Witt's just absolutely ridiculous as well. And Vladimir Guerrero Jr. isn't necessarily supposed to be an average guy. He's not supposed to be a guy that's, you want him to rack up hits, but you're more worried about the power. You're more worried about the doubles, the home runs, things like that. So being second in the league in hits is absolutely insane. He's tied for third in average, challenging Bobby Witt, Stephen Kwan, Aaron Judge for that batting title as well. He is 13th in the league in RBIs. He's 8th in OPS. He's tied for 6th in doubles. Shout out to, I guess I'm going to bring this up. Unfortunately, it kind of hurts me to bring it up a little bit here, but he's tied with Matt Chapman in doubles. Matt Chapman's not even close to him in any other statistic, but shout out to the people that love Matt Chapman, singling mostly one person out on that one. But just looking like at this guy's stats, we can go on and on and on. I told Braden to look at this guy's Baseball Savant. He knew it was going to be very good. If you look at Baseball Savant, you know anything about Baseball Savant, you want to see red. And this entire thing is just, it's more red than blood. It's more red than Clifford the dog. It's insane. This guy is 99th, 90 percentile in pretty much every hitting statistic there is. You've got his defense, not necessarily the greatest thing, but who cares? I don't care about defense anymore. You have Vladimir Guerrero Jr. on the loose, and I'm going to be excited about that, even if he made 3 errors per game. So I'm just going to kind of round off some Vladimir Guerrero stats. It's going to be stats. They're going to be comparisons, a bunch of different things. Just we're going to kind of shove stats down your throat for this first half of the segment. And then we're going to kind of go into just how we think about Vladimir Guerrero Jr., what we're expecting from the rest of the season, things like that. So Vladdy since April 27th, a 356 average, a 418 OBP, a 620 slugging, and a 1,038 OPS. Absolutely insane. Another one from Blue Jays News here. Player slashing 310, 390 OBP, and a 530 slugging or better this season. Very short list. Very good baseball players. I've alluded to both these guys already on this podcast. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Aaron Judge, Bobby Witt. That's it. That's all you got on that list. That is a very good list to be a part of. And this one is one I was very surprised about, actually. And it's a narrative that we can almost compare this Vladdy to 2021. But Vladdy has matched his 2021 WRC plus, which this is supposed to be Vladdy's career year, his peak. It wasn't supposed to get better than this at 166. he might continue to skyrocket here. He is on a 20-game hitting streak, and he has shown no signs of slowing down. So another comparison that I want to do here is during the All-Star break, we did a comparison to like who made the All-Star break or All-Star game, who should have made the All-Star game, was Vladdy deserving. Some people were saying that Josh Naylor was better at that point. Maybe he was. Ryan Mountcastle was another guy that was compared to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. But looking at it right now, their WARs, Vladdy's a 4 WAR, Josh Naylor is a 1.4, Ryan Mountcastle a 2. So you add both the WARs together, still not touching Vladdy. The hits, not very close either. Vladdy's 138, Mountcastle 108, Naylor 96. Home runs, Naylor hasn't beat on this one by, I think at this point he's at 23 home runs for Vladdy. Could be 24 after this game. But Josh Naylor 25, Ryan Mountcastle 13. The OBP, not even close for Vladdy. Batting average, he's up on these guys by about 50 points. OPS plus, 161 for Vladdy, 125 for Josh Naylor, 113 for Ryan Mountcastle. So overall, you're looking at this AL East first baseman, or AL East, AL first baseman, Ryan Mountcastle being from the AL East as well. It's not even close. Vladdy is easily the best first baseman in the AL. You can debate this in the league as well. Obviously, there's Bryce Harper, Freddie Freeman. So many things that you can compare this guy to. And just looking at John Schneider as well, he is alluding to the success from Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He says that Vladdy is as good as anyone right now. And you are watching a really good player figure out some crap right now. Said a different word. I'm not going to say it on this podcast. I'll throw out one more list here. So this one's from Sarah Lang. Players with 20 plus extra base hits and a 500 batting average in a single season 20-game span since 1901. There's guys like Lou Gehrig, Jimmy Fox, Todd Helton, Chipper Jones is on this list, Bill Terry. There's about 9 players on this list, and now Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has joined that list as well with among the greats. And I lied. It's one comparison. I said I wanted to compare him to Bobby Witt. So in their last 20 games, Bobby Witt is obviously on the loose as well. He's going to be a very good player for a very long time. But you're looking at Vladdy's slash line, 507 average, 575 on base, and a slugging of 1,096. Absolutely insane. Bobby Witt, still very good. I would take this if Vladdy was doing it as well. 469 average, 506 OBP, and an 815 slugging. 10 home runs for Vladdy, 6 home runs for Bobby Witt, 22 RBIs for Vladdy, 21 for Bobby Witt, 23 runs for Vladdy, 24 for Bobby Witt. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. it's not even by a slim margin. Bobby Witt would be the next person that I would compare to this. He is the hottest hitter in baseball right now, might be the best hitter on the planet at this point.
Carter, I'm not going to lie, you fried my brain with some statistics there, but I love it. It brings up some very interesting conversations. And one of those conversations has to be, how much are you going to pay Vlad? Because it needs to be an absolute mountain of money. And I don't necessarily believe that Vlad wants to leave Toronto. I think he wants to be the guy here. He wants to bring championships here. It's Will Rogers and Ross Atkins and Shapiro and John Schneider be able to pull together and create a baseball team that can surround Vladdy enough to get him there. And I know this is a crazy statement coming off the beginning of the season when we were hating him, and I totally understand that. But Vladimir Guerrero Jr., with the numbers Carter had just given you and the statistics we talked about, and just watching with your eyeballs, you can tell that he is one of the best baseball players right now. And maybe he'll go down as debatably one of the best Blue Jays of all time. I think he's debatably going to be on that list in the next few years. We got lots more to talk about on Vlad. We have this mailbag question, courtesy of Justin Powers. He's out working. He throws on the podcast. We love the guy. We're going to answer his mailbag question in the next segment, but we're going to go a little bit more into Vladdy and what is the possibility going forward with him? What are the conversations going to be like? We'll take a quick break, and of course, we'll be right back. Today's episode of Locked On Blue Jays is brought to you by Liquid IV. As you guys all know, I'm a huge fan of Liquid IV because I need it constantly. If it's coming from baseball like tonight, if it's waking up on Sunday, then I'm going to need one as well. As always, we go out, we have a good time. Liquid IV is the perfect hydration drink. I say it all the time. I wake up and I always feel a little bit dehydrated with the change of temperatures here in Manitoba and Toronto as well. It's very up and down, and I feel myself become very dehydrated. and Liquid IV helps me cure that very quickly. Powered by Live HydraSense, an optimized ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code MLB at liquidiv.com.
Take care of all your vehicular maintenance needs with our partner, eBay Motors. eBay Motors is everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more, whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your vehicle, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. I have talked about this story on the podcast, not for a while, actually, so I'm going to bring it up again. I used to have this Pontiac Montana at 2003. I was the first one in my grade to get my license, so I was always ripping my friends around. It was pretty much a party bus at this point, but eBay Motors helped me keep my vehicle on the road for a lot longer than it probably should have been, but it was nice because I could load literally all of my friends in the car, drive them wherever I wanted. eBay Motors made that possible. Their experts are super easy to deal with. They're very knowledgeable, and they give great advice that is specific to your needs. So to keep your ride or die alive, you can go to ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available for U.S. customers.
So, Carter, we talked about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. quite a lot in that last segment. There's a lot of statistics. I'm going to throw a couple more at you because Vladimir Guerrero Jr. yesterday had an absolutely monster day and put this team on his back to a series win against the Baltimore Orioles, as I said. And there's a couple of guys that just want to give a quick shout out here from this game. We don't got to go too in depth, but I want to at least talk about it. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. goes 3 for 4. He scored twice, had 4 RBIs, and of course the opposite field moon ball that he sent out there. Just an amazing day. He had 9 total bases as well. Just an absolutely fantastic. It's an unbelievable day. On top of everything else that he's done in these past 20 games, it's been electric, Carter.
Oh, it's insane. Like a 507 average over a 20-game stretch is like, it's hard to believe even. If you would have told me that at the start of the season, Fly would go on this stretch, I'd be like, maybe. Is it like is he juicing? Is he on the Barry Bonds treatment right now? But this is real life. This is happening right now with no PEDs, no nothing. This is just Vladimir Guerrero Jr. naturally playing the game of baseball. And one more thing that I do want to get into is Victor Martinez, obviously a guy that had a very good baseball career, walked by Keegan Matheson's tweet from Keegan Matheson and said a quick little snippet on Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And he said, he's going to be better than his dad. Vladimir Guerrero Sr., Hall of Fame career, very good baseball player. This is elite company that he is putting Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in. And this guy is only 25 years old. I'm at the point where the Rogers has money. They have the 8th highest payroll in baseball. Throw Vladdy on the Shohei Ohtani contract. Screw it at this point. Give him $700 million. Lock him up for life. This guy should be a Toronto Blue Jay for his entire career. Realistically, $300 million, like $350, whatever it is. I'm not a big contract guy, but lock this guy up for a very long time. He has shown that he can be a very consistent player throughout his career. He's 25. He can only get better and better and better. He hasn't necessarily even reached his prime yet. It's been insane. This guy's hitting home runs pole side. He's hitting home runs dead center. He's hitting home runs to the opposite field. He's hitting doubles. He's hitting pretty much everything that you could ever want from Vladdy, other than a single today or yesterday for some reason. Would have been really nice to get Vladdy that cycle. But again, when you tap 9 total bases, I'm not going to complain about Vladdy not hitting a single. Like whatever, like yeah, absolutely insane day. Home run, triple from Vladdy was absolutely nuts to see as well. You don't see Vladdy hitting triples too often, so that was obviously awesome. But this guy is he's insane. I've said it probably 4 times on this podcast already because that's just the exact way to describe Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And you got a guy that wants to stay in Toronto. He's openly said it multiple times that he wants to be a Toronto Blue Jay for a very long time. Lock him up. I don't know why it hasn't happened already. They're probably going to focus on this in the offseason again, but they're not playing for anything anyway. And you might as well focus on Vladimir Guerrero Jr., a good player that you have right now. Screw trading prospects for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He's going to be better than any prospect you can ever get for him. So I'm on this boat. I think you're on this boat. I think a lot of Blue Jays fans are on this boat at this point. Pay him whatever he wants. I don't care what the dollar figure is. Keep this guy here for a long time because he's one of the only enjoyable things about watching this Toronto Blue Jays team right now.
Give the guy $30 million. Give him $35 million for all I care. It's not my money. Rogers, pay the check. Write the check out. Give it to him. Carter, you talked about Vladimir Guerrero Sr. and being Vladimir Guerrero Jr. being better than his dad. Well, let's take a quick peek at what his dad's career stats ended up being. At the end of his career, he had a 59.5 WAR. He had 2,590 hits with 449 home runs and a batting average of 318. Obviously, they were a little bit of different players, to say the least. But at the end of the day, sorry, I still got this throat thing going on. It's killing me. There we go. Now to continue. Let's go on and take a look at Vlad's stats so far. That was through 16 seasons for Vladimir Guerrero Sr. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., on the other hand, has played now in his 6th season in the MLB with already a 19.3 WAR. He has 844 hits with 152 home runs already and a 285 batting average. Carter, the question, it's going to be a question when it comes to Vlad's, Vlad has 10 more years probably in this league, to say the least, right? Probably more. So I think it's very realistic to assume that Vlad, if he can continue on somewhat of this pace, obviously he's not going to be, playing like these past 20 games for the rest of his career. It's just statistically impossible, but it'd be great to see. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to be a huge conversation. Will Vladimir Guerrero Jr. surpass Vladimir Guerrero Sr. for the best Guerrero in the family, I guess?
Yeah, and there's obviously other competition as well. I think he has a brother that is in the league now, not playing in the MLB, but in some of the farm systems throughout the league. I think it's like his half brother or something. I'm not entirely sure. I think if I had to guess, it was off the Mets. But a guy, who cares about that Vladimir or that Guerrero right now? Let's focus on Vladimir Guerrero Jr. With Vladdy, again, a guy that's expressed that he wants to be with the team for a very long time. A guy that is just, it's so fun to watch. He cares so much about this team. He's really embracing the city, embraces the country that he's playing for. It's a guy that I can't believe he hasn't been locked up already, because now you're looking at what he's doing right now, and that dollar figure is just going to go up and up and up. But Rogers shouldn't have a problem with paying this guy money. It's a key piece that you want to build around any team at the trade deadline. That's why there were so many links to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. because every single team wanted him. Why wouldn't you want a player like Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who's only 25 years old? I know I've said that multiple times, but I'm purposely saying that because he is still young. We're looking at some of these prospects we've been talking about these last couple of weeks. A lot of these guys are 24, 25, some of them even being 26. And Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is on this torrid pace when a lot of these prospects are just trying to make their way into the major leagues. So you're looking at Vladdy. You want this guy to be your first baseman for a very long time. He can even be playing third base again, defense, whatever. Just have this guy in your lineup, whether he's DHing. Screw it. Throw him at center field for all I care. Just have his bat in the lineup. Make sure he is playing for your team for a very long time. Because if you have this guy, you have Bo Bichette, who hopefully can have a better season. Alejandro Kirk has been on fire recently. He's had a very good stretch. You got guys to build around Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He should be your centerpiece for this team. And if you want this team to go on a playoff run, I know for me, from a fan perspective, from a Vladimir Guerrero Jr. fan, I would want nothing more than Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to be able to lead this team to playoff success, a World Series. Imagine how hard that would hit a Vladimir Guerrero Jr. World Series. It's absolutely insane. Just getting me excited thinking about it, but we're not quite there yet. We're still a million games under 500, but just seeing Vladimir Guerrero Jr. have success, I'm very happy for him. Very nice to see him just being excited, enjoying the game of baseball, even though things aren't necessarily going that well for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, Carter, just, sort of as we go through this, I think I've said my piece on Vlad. You've probably said yours. I want to get into two more things just in this segment, sort of before we get into the series preview in the third segment. I got to give a big shout out to Kevin Gausman. 8 innings pitched, 3 hits given up, 2 earned runs, 2 Ks, 3 walks, 1 home run given up. Just an absolute monster day from Kevin Gausman. Big hat tips to him. Carter, I don't know, man. You know what? As much as sometimes we say Kevin Gausman didn't have his stuff or whatever, he is a rock star, to say the very least, in totality.
This guy is going to be an absolute rock star next season. Not having the greatest season statistically, but again, for a Toronto Blue Jays lost season with how bad this bullpen is, as we'll probably get into right after this with Zach Pop. Kevin Gausman, this was prime Kevin Gausman. Just had everything working for him again today. Fastball, the splitter was looking really good. And it's against the Baltimore Orioles lineup. That is one of the best lineups in all of baseball, albeit they're not playing their greatest brand of baseball recently, but they're playing the poverty Toronto Blue Jays that almost blew a lead when Kevin Gausman went 8 innings and only gave up 2 earned runs. So with Kevin Gausman, he's going to be a guy that's going to be a major bounce back candidate. I'll probably along with Bo Bichette next season. Those two will be talked about a lot in the offseason. Definitely nice to see Kevin Gausman have a typical Kevin Gausman start from 2023, the Cy Young caliber starts that we're accustomed to. You can't get mad about what Kevin Gausman has done this season. Pitchers have off years. You look at Jose Barrios in 2022, bounced back, had a very good year in 2023, and I am primed for a Kevin Gausman bounce back, probably getting some Cy Young votes again in 2025. But I've been alluding to this a little bit so far this episode. You got to go into Zach Pop. I used to love this guy. I love his stuff still, but this was terrible. I don't know what this guy was doing. He was trying his best to get the Toronto Blue Jays the best possible draft pick. He's like, let's load up the farm system. We're trying to do it at the trade deadline. I'm just trying to help the boys out at this point. But I don't even know if I want to go over his stat line, but I'm going to do it for the people. It's not good. This guy did not even record an out. Give up 3 hits, 3 earned runs. His ERA is up to 6.49. Yes, this bullpen is so depleted. You have the offense, honestly, recently has been pretty good. Obviously led by Vladimir Guerrero Jr., huge portion for that. But you look at the starting pitching, not necessarily the greatest, but I'd say still average. And then you look at the bullpen. You got Yari Rodriguez pitching. You got Zach Pop going out from time to time. You got Henny Cabrera now on the paternity list. You're really running out of options. So with the bullpen, good thing Kevin Gausman went 8 innings because this bullpen probably could not have withstood any more damage because you had to put in Chad Green for a game that should have been out of reach from the 9th inning.
Yeah, Carter, I'm starting to think, where's Bradley Zimmer, and is there enough space on the moon for Zach Pop to join him? Because I am getting very sick and tired of seeing this guy on the mound, and I know you're a fan of him, but lately I just can't stand it. When they bring Zach Pop out, I just am like, okay, how many runs can he give up to hopefully not blow this lead? And it always seems to come back and bite us. So I'm not high on Zach Pop right now. I don't think anybody is. I think he's going to catch a lot of heat, and I fully believe that that's going to happen. Carter, one more thing. I said it. I teased it. I think we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to get into our mailbag question just before the series preview. So we'll take a quick break, come back right away with that mailbag question.
Today's episode is also sponsored by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. They are the easiest and most exciting way to play fantasy sports because it's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. PrizePicks is very simple to play. That's one of the things I like the best about PrizePicks, because I can make my picks and submit my entries in as little as 60 seconds. So we've always used to talk about riding the hot hand on this podcast, not as much recently because the Toronto Blue Jays baseball games have not mattered nearly as much. But with Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s tear that he's on, Alejandro Kirk has been a hot bat as well. I am hammering every single more than you can on Vladimir Guerrero Jr., whether it's extra base hits, total bases, fantasy score, you name it. Every single one is more than on Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I'm also pairing that with Kevin Gausman's strikeouts. Did not work in that last game. But again, I'm going to hammer my pitchers because I am a Blue Jays fan. I'm going to bet on my guys. But I have Alejandro Kirk, 1.5 total bases, as well as over fantasy points as well. So you can download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for first deposit matchup to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for first deposit matchup to $100.
So, Carter, like I said, I teased the mailbag. I teased a little bit of the series preview we got to get into. And sort of the mailbag leads right into the series preview. This is from Justin Powers. Like I said, if you guys want to send in a mailbag, all you got to do is tag it mailbag, and we'll answer your question on the podcast because, you know, there's a lot going on in Blue Jays land, but it's also not a lot going on in Blue Jays land at the same time. So we want to get your guys' questions. We want to get your guys' opinions. And we'll for sure do that with this mailbag segment that we'll try to bring up sort of more as a recurring thing, as long as you guys tag the comments mailbag. Please do that. We get a lot of comments, but we don't know. Some of them we could bring up, but if you specifically tag it mailbag, we'll try 100% of the time to get it on the podcast. This is from Justin Powers. Of course, our roommate, big time listener, our buddy, and here he goes. Of course, that just as a preface to this, I'm sorry, I keep, whatever, teasing you with the question. Me and Carter are playing in our special golf tournament every year that we do. I am a one-time winner of this golf tournament. Carter's been chasing the dream for a few years, and this year we are partners. Justin Powers goes, what will be the higher difference this weekend? Your guys' golf score relative to par, or the Toronto Blue Jays run differential? So which one will be higher, Carter? I need your answer. Our score relative to par, or the Blue Jays run differential?
Okay, so I'm going to start this from our golf game. So we've kind of discussed our goal for it's a 2-day tournament. So we're playing Saturday and Sunday, 2-man scramble. It's pretty much just 2v2s if you don't know what a scramble is. So you're taking the best shot of every single shot between me and Braden. So for the first day, we're probably looking for like 4 or 5 over. The second day might be a little worse depending on how late we do stay up and the festivities that we do partake in. So ideally, I'm probably looking at something between like 7 and 8 over between the 2 days. So the question is, the Toronto Blue Jays have the Oakland Athletics, as we'll get into, and they're not that good of a team. We got to look at the pitching matchups. There's a lot to break down, but are the Toronto Blue Jays going to be the Oakland Athletics? First off, they're going to win the series. You got to hope for that. But unfortunately for me, I think our score is going to be larger than the Blue Jays run differential. I do see the Blue Jays winning the series, but for some reason, the Oakland Athletics, it's going to be one of those games. They're coming off of a high beating the Baltimore Orioles. They're going to struggle in the Athletics games. They're going to be closer games. I have the Blue Jays as a run differential of +5. I do think they're going to win the series. I do think they're going to win obviously the majority of the games by winning the series, and they'll probably have one game where they go like it's like a 6-2 game. The other ones are going to be fairly close. So unfortunately for maybe us or the Toronto Blue Jays, whichever one you want to go with, I have our run differential or our golf score being higher than their run differential.
I agree with you in a different situation. I think that we've seen this tournament when we've played. The Saturday, everybody's low, everybody's close. It's surprising. And then the Sunday comes around. You roll out of bed. You're barely able to get to the car. You drive to the course, and you know it's not going to be a good day. For us, I think we're well prepared for this this golf tournament. Don't get me wrong, but I think that Sunday is what's gonna hurt us. I think if we go 3-4 over on day one, ideally, but then I think the Sunday could really kill us. So the Blue Jays are gonna have to help us out by scoring a bunch of runs and making both of us wrong here. Justin, of course. Thank you for the mailbag question. If any of you guys want to send one in as well, we'll be happy to answer. Even if it's just for fun, you guys want to know, I don't know, why does Braden have 1 million Blue Jays hats? I'll answer your question. How many Toronto Blue Jays hats does he have? I don't care what it is. If it's Blue Jays related, if it's us related, if it's whatever, if it's for fun, we'll answer. We want to have fun. We want to bring some more, entertaining stuff here as well. Just and we want to have a blast in this podcast as we do every day. But try to keep everybody having a good time. So we'll make sure to get to those mailbag questions. Like I said, tag it mailbag. We'll make sure we get it on the podcast.
Yeah, and if you want to know, I'm going to cut you off quick here.
Okay.
If you want to know Braden's earmuff size, it's very large, but that's another question you could ask. If you want to know how many strikeouts I throw when we're playing slow pitch, another question you could ask. We're going to try to have some fun with this Blue Jay season, and just maybe you can get to know us a little bit more on a personal level. We'll definitely be able to open up more on this podcast with the brand of baseball the Toronto Blue Jays are playing. But saying that, they just won a series against the Baltimore Orioles, so maybe we'll have a little bit more positive things to talk about. But we haven't gotten crazy personal on this podcast yet. I wouldn't say we've kind of gotten into our weekends and stuff like that. But I'm not sure exactly how much you guys do know about us. If you want to even go on a personal level, like whether it's like family members, whatever you can think of, honestly, drop mailbag questions. We'll be sure to answer those. But overall, we've kind of covered this last game. We've covered, obviously, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., just probably the best hitter in baseball right now. But let's get into the series. The Blue Jays versus the Oakland Athletics. I believe this is the last time they're going to be facing the Oakland Athletics as the Oakland Athletics. Not 100% sure how that's going to transpire. But Braden, I'm not sure if you have pitching probables. I can pull them up real quick, but I'll throw it over to you.
Yeah, so obviously today, Friday, it's Jose Barrios versus Spence. Spence with a 4.47 ERA. Jose Barrios obviously with a 3.93. Then the Saturday game, it's a sort of afternoon game, so that should be fun. Too bad for us, we'll be on the course, but we're going to throw it on the speaker and listen to the Blue Jays game, sort of old school radio style. That's right up my alley. So it's Badu with a 5 ERA versus Yariel Rodriguez with a 4.31. Should be an interesting matchup there. And then of course Sunday it is for us 12:30 start. For people in Toronto, I believe that would make it. I'm terrible with time zones, Carter.
No, I'm going to leave this to you. You got to work this out on your own. Quick, some Braden math here.
Would that be early or late? I want to say it's 11:30 start.
Yeah, that would be correct. Congratulations.
Woo, math guy. So it's Sears versus Bassett. Sears with a 4.53 ERA and Bassett with a 4.02 ERA. This is a series the Toronto Blue Jays should win. As bad as they are, and with the amount of pieces that they've moved, they've been able to score runs. So it's. I think it's going to come down to if the bullpen can somewhat shut the door. I think the Blue Jays should be successful in this series. What are your thoughts here, Carter?
Before we do get into that, I just realized that I thought about it a little bit more. I thought about the Canucks. We were wrong. Both of us 0 for 2, unfortunately. It would be later. It'd be 130. Tough on our part.
That's right. No, and we knew that. That's so dumb on our part. We were there.
I was just going to say, we were in Toronto. It wasn't that long ago, but maybe we're remembering a little bit less than we actually thought. But overall, just not a great team in the Oakland Athletics. It's going to be fun to watch Mason Miller. Brent Rooker is another guy that I love a lot. A lot of people in our comments recently have been saying that Toronto Blue Jays should go out and try to get Brent Rooker. Would love to see that. He could pair very well with Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette, you name it. A lot of players that hopefully Bo Bichette does bounce back and can be a productive bat. But overall, just looking for some competitive baseball. Look, again, to say this, I might be kind of like a broken record on this part. Want Joey Lopervito to have good at-bats. Yariel Rodriguez, really the only pitcher that I'm necessarily concerned on for the Toronto Blue Jays. Want him to have a good start as well. Addison Barger, Ernie Clement, and then Vladimir Guerrero Jr., the guy in the spotlight. I want him to continue that hitting streak. I just want him to get a hit every single game for the rest of the season. I think just end the season on like a 75-game hit streak. That has to break records. I'm not sure what the hitting record is, but there's no way it is 75 games. Comment it if you know off the top of your head what the MLB hit record is for an individual player. But yeah, just looking for positive baseball. We're going to be having it on the radio. Maybe it'll dial us in a little bit more if we're struggling on the course. Hopefully the Toronto Blue Jays aren't getting blown out, because if you don't need those negative vibes on the golf course, but they're playing the Oakland Athletics. I'm going to try to stay positive on this podcast, because Vladdy, that segment, those two segments rather than, we have been pretty positive about. So let's just keep riding the high, keep riding the good Toronto Blue Jays baseball. I got one more thing to add other than what we kind of went over. And it's just, I sort of alluded to this again earlier on the podcast, but Genesis Cabrera has been placed on the paternity list. Congratulations to Henny. Thomas Nance, who honestly, who is this guy? No idea at this point. They acquired him from the Padres for cash considerations with DFA, stuff like that. Obviously, the trade deadline is over, but you can still pick up players from other teams in that sense. Tommy Nance, again, it can't get worse from the bullpen. Whatever. Hopefully, that goes out and throws some effective innings. But other than that, that's pretty much all I got for today. Braden, you got anything else to add before we head into the weekend?
Yeah, so I don't want to necessarily end this on sort of a more somber note, more serious note. We've had our fun in this segment, but Jeff from Locked On Dodgers sort of passed something along to us, and I think it's it's important to touch on. Younger brother of Jays minor league catcher Peyton Henry has passed away the other day. He's been battling cancer for a long time, and they've sort of known this for a while. Peyton's injury actually came at a decent time for him personally, because he got to spend a lot of time with at his home with Brooks before he died. And Jeff, obviously has a personal relationship with the family. And so we just wanted to pass that along, give our best, wishes and sort of hope for the family, and hope that they can, sort of carry on and move forward. But just sort of, I know that's sort of a sad thing to end the show on here, but when stuff like this happens, I think it takes us away from the baseball and maybe the complaining and the things that we do. We have to remember that all these players are people too, and there's stuff that happens in real life. Obviously, going back to Eric Swanson and his son as well. Good thing that they got through that, but just wanted to pass what sort of our thoughts and feelings along. One other thing I wanted to let you guys know is, of course, we appreciate everything that you guys do for, coming and listening to us and making us your first listen every day. For your second listen every day, we'd like to tell you, go check out Locked On MLB. Host Paul Sully does an absolutely outstanding job with that podcast, and he's going to be having so much coverage. It is crazy. The guy works. He's an absolute workhorse. He just puts in the time. He puts in the effort. An amazing host. And I really suggest going to take at least a listen, give it a try. Go watch that Locked On MLB channel. It is pretty electric. And we have a really good relationship with Sully. We went on Locked On MLB as well. And it was just an absolute blast. So Make sure you guys go check that out. Again, we really appreciate everything that you guys do with the comments, the likes, the subscriptions. Even a couple of you message us on Instagram. And actually, we got a pretty cool tip today. So we're going to bring that up in a future episode as well, sort of coming up here. But again, thank you, all of you. This is sort of a good send-off into the weekend. I hope all of you have a great weekend and you enjoy watching some Toronto Blue Jays baseball. And for us personally, we're going to be golfing. We're going to be Blue Jays. We're going to be, it's my birthday coming up. So maybe we'll partake in a couple beverages, have a good time, be responsible. That's what we want to sort of put out there as well. We've, just with, we want to tell you guys that we have a good time, but we also, are responsible. We want to be able to get you guys these podcasts every day. And, being idiots doesn't allow us to do that. So we will always make sure that we stay safe, and hopefully you guys do too. Have a great weekend. We back Monday. We got a full series recap to go over. We got to talk. We got to see if Justin is, if we were right or wrong about the run differential. So we'll let you guys know there as well. And then an absolutely huge episode on Tuesday. It is going to be covering a huge topic. And I know a lot of you are going to be wanting to tune in for that one, as that is the Ross Atkins episode. Will he stay? Will he be fired? What will happen? All of it is going to be broken down on Locked On Blue Jays.